Hello. So in the previous video we went through the creation of a simple API that actually returns a Pojo. So now let's just get through some more complex operation where we will create a class where we'll handle some business logic, and we will not just return one Pojo but a list of Pojos. So let's just get started. So as a general convention in Spring Boot or generally in MVC applications, uh, all the business logic will go to a separate set of classes that will be called service classes. Like in this case, these are controller classes which actually take the request of the APIs. And so we have a set of service classes that actually handle the business logic. So let me just create a package named service where we will have our all the services classes, and let's just create a service class. Let's name it people service, and here we will define a list of person classes where okay, so I will use list dot of which has been recently added into Java language, and I will use all the okay okay, I don't think I have a constructor with these properties, so I will just create a constructor. Let me just generate it. So it has generated me a constructor with all these three properties, so I don't need to call these set methods to set the values every time I create an object. I can just use this constructor. So first we will name Wonder Woman, next will be height, I guess, so let's just keep it 140, weight will be 55. It won't be a semicolon, it will be a comma because we are giving it multiple arguments. I will use the same here, and here we will name as Hulk. Height will be 300, will be 100. Let me just name Hulk. Okay, Hulk is already there, so let's just name Thor. Height will be 180, weight will be 75. So it's just a list, and we will just create a separate function to return all of these objects at once, or in a simple word, this particular list. So we will return list of person, and we will name it get all people. I think I should name the Pojo people instead of person. So I will return person list, that's it. And in test controller, we will, instead of doing all these, we will create a new object of people service, and we will use get all people method, and we will return it. And here I have to give it list of person, that's it. So what we have actually done is made this controller class a lot simpler. So this controller class only knows which function or which method to call, and rest everything is handled by the class, the service class. So in real life examples, what happen is you might have to do some transactions, you might have to fetch some data from database and do some modification, then return. So instead of handling everything here, which will mess things up, you just assign the tasks to different classes or different service classes, where they will handle each chunk of task. And in this controller class, you get a nice trimmed down view that you are calling this particular method, and it's returning you what you want. So let's just start the server. It's going to compile and build everything. So we'll use Postman here in this case. So previously when we used this particular address, it returned our Pojo. Now it should return a list. So here you can see, let me just, okay, here you can see this particular square brackets determine list in case of Pojos, and each object is surrounded by curly braces separated by commas. So we have another object separated by comma, and we have third object, and you can see all the values are there. So this is one set of a small upgrade from our simple program. Now here are two things which we will need to improve here. The very first is this new object. So if I want to use people service in 10 different APIs, I don't want to create this object 10 different times. That will be just hard on the system and memory, and it may also slow the service, or it may also slow the API, because you have to create new object every time you're calling. And so we will use dependency injection. That's a design pattern. I will try to make a video on dependency injection before I move ahead with additional Spring Boot project. And there's one more thing. Instead of new person, every time we actually create an object, we are using this new keyword. Now we can improve this with builder pattern as well. So I will try to create a video on builder pattern as well, but first we will just focus on dependency injection, as that's more important. So see you. Okay, so before actually ending the video, I thought I should just show you how exactly we can achieve dependency injection in a simple way in Spring Boot, and later we can have discussion on what exactly is dependency injection, how exactly it is beneficial, how it works, its architecture, etc. So for dependency injection in Spring, what we need to do is use a simple annotation, that's auto-add. So in simple words, it will automatically determine which object to create and inject based on the field that you will give next. So here we will give our type and the variable name. So here will be people service, and its variable name people service. So it will automatically determine that I need to create an object of this particular class, and I will need to inject into this particular reference variable. So it will do everything automatically. And instead of this, we need to instead of this new keyword, we just need to use this people service. So it won't create new objects every time you call a new API. It will just create it once, and that's it. But here's one more catch, that auto add is a functionality provided by Spring Framework, and so it will only auto wire those classes that are managed by Spring. So what do we mean by managed by Spring? So before this particular test controller class, we have annotated with REST controller. So this particular class is managed by Spring. In case of people service, we have not given anything. It's just a simple class, This is the same case with Pojo. So it is a simple class, so it is not managed by Spring, and so this auto wire should ideally fail. Let me just run it. So okay, so it's expected to fail. I'm not sure if we will get the reason. Okay, yeah, it wants us to define the bean for people service. So bean is a separate concept in Spring, but we will not get into those right now. So just to make this particular service class being managed by Spring, we just have to add another annotation, that is service. That's it. So after this auto wiring should work perfectly, and we should be able to see a result. This particular method, after this particular method is called. So let me just run it again. Okay, so it has run. We will send, so it has returned the same response again, so it's working. So this is dependency injection in a simple way in Spring Boot. Thank you.